Hey, hey.
Hello, hello.
What up, y'all? Welcome, viewers, to the Anti-Nazi Gaming League. As always,
Yes.
I am Logan Glitterbomb, taking over again as lead co-host for this month, and we have James Weeks
That's me.
and Alex McHugh.
Hello, hello.
How is everyone?
I'm doing great. My cat is getting to know my mom's cat, and they decided to start hissing at each other literally the second the stream started.
Oh
Oh,
no.
wonderful.
Come here.
Well, they just want to be
Hey,
part of the
Velma.
stream.
Yeah. How are you
So,
doing, Logan?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay considering. For folks who don't know, I'm sure y'all can see up there, our monthly fundraiser this month is to help me out. I just got out of I finally ended up moving out of an abusive situation that left me with multiple injuries, and including no longer being able to use this pinky fully. I cannot bend this second knuckle here anymore. And have not been for a while. I've gotten back most of the range of motion, but it takes a lot to get it down to there. So it's, as opposed to that, I can't even recreate that on my other finger. It's, yeah. So it's been wild, but needless to say, still figuring things out. But anything helps in that journey. While I figure out where I'm going and what I'm doing from here. Things are scary, but calmer in many ways.
Yeah, I think I can speak for a lot of the C4SS folks in saying, very happy you're out. I know it's a hard journey from here, but the first step is done, and we're here for you. I hope other folks will take advantage of the links directly above me and help out a little bit. And yeah, we'll get you back in business.
Yeah, I really thank y'all for for promoting this and doing this, because this has been a big help. Anyways, on to brighter things this month.
Well, James, what's new with you?
Yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
haven't heard from James yet.
I'm just here.
Well, come on. There's more than
You're
that.
wearing a cool sweatshirt. What's going on there?
I'm wearing a cool hoodie. That's what I got going on. I got these dogs jumping on me already jumping. I guess Suki wants to come say hi to the stream. Come here, Suki.
Yes.
So, but pretty much that's what I got going on. Just here.
Awesome.
That is wonderful. So, I'm trying to think. Krillin didn't go Super Saiyan until after he had hair. Did we ever see someone with no hair on their head go Super Saiyan? Because I'm seeing you in that, and I'm wondering.
Yeah, with
would
the beard would
just
probably
just spikes upward, just in front of your face.
Hey, it's easily identifiable. Everyone's going to know exactly which one you are.
Oh God, I can't see.
You're gaining so much power and lose all your vision.
All my vision. Just punching wildly in the air. Uh,
As if normal people can see what's happening anyway. I mean,
that would be funny.
So, anyways, yes, our topics for this month. Um, well, let's just start out with Rip-A-Watch. Rip-A-Verse.
what is
Item
Eric
number
July
one.
up to this month?
Item number one just dropped. It actually has gotten to customers, shipped out. You know, it wasn't a grift, y'all. I mean, I knew it wasn't. I mean, he was hiring people from the industry. I really wasn't expecting it to be anything that didn't have some level of like knowledge and heart to it in its writing. But looking at a lot of the reviews, including on 4chan, which was pretty funny, they most people that read it were actually said it was really mediocre. They said it kind of had a bland universe set up. If I recall correctly, people were saying that somebody said that there weren't like sound effects for many of the fight scenes.
Weird.
Yeah, right.
Weird.
It was.
You know what they say? Go woke, get broke.
So it was, and I mean, I haven't read it. I may be misremembering it. These people may have not even read it and been making shit up. Who knows? Take this with a grain of salt. I have not been able to find scans. I mean, on this same, in some of these reviews, I also saw people going off about how Marvel and DC are going bankrupt, and I just saw a whole section dedicated to the Rip-A-Verse at my local Barnes & Noble, and I looked up to see if Barnes & Noble even sold ISOM, and they don't. So, like, I don't know how many people are making the, shit up in these reviews, in their reviews or when they're talking about shit. But from what I can tell, a lot of people aren't as impressed as they hoped. And a lot of people feel let down. They don't think it was a grift. They just don't think it was great writing.
Well, and this is like, there's kind of two things I want to say. One is that, like, I take all reviews as probably having been bought or coming from like true believers at this point, in part because I, for about a month, worked as a person who went on Yelp and reviewed places I had never been because someone was paying me to do that.
Oh, I mean,
how much do Yelp reviewers make?
Oh, nothing. I mean,
nothing.
You do like 50 of them, right?
And
then you make like, let's see, I ended up with about $100, so it was like about $2 per.
I mean, it takes what, a couple minutes to make you could make a decent more than minimum wage.
Yeah. I mean, if you're fast enough. I
mean, the thing is like, I think most of these reviews are authentic. Like, I mean, I'm not saying every review is factual, obviously, in that sense, because, like, there were some that were just factually wrong, like the Barnes & Noble shit, just people making stuff up, but that's true believers just wanting to make shit up to... Yeah, that's one thing.
Well, and this was the second thing, is like, right-wingers.
That element of it, and there will be those people, but you also they're not bought and paid for reviews, though. They're true believers, or at least he claims nobody he's bought and paid. They're all people who have physically bought copies and are reviewing them themselves. he has specifically not given out review copies even ahead of time. A lot of comic publishers, especially newer ones, will give review copies. He did not. He refused to. And he refused to even release. He released 3 pages of art without speech bubbles, or without words in the speech bubbles, which is not uncommon in previews, even in bigger companies. But when that's your first comic and nobody knows what the hell, and it's not only your first comic, but it's a brand new label, and that's the thing that he doesn't understand. And he's like, oh, well, Marvel and DC will put out promotional material, and even the big indies will put out promotional material for their new comics with new writers who, and those previews don't have, dialogue in them, but those are still established publishers. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So he's come into the game with nothing except the people that he's hired and their cred. Now, granted, they're good people from the industry, and the art is decent art for what it is. They're not the best of the industry. They're people who quit for ideological reasons and are now taking these jobs for paychecks. And yeah, their heart's in it, but the art was mediocre even in the preview. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was mediocre. I don't expect a story to be much better.
Do you have preview pictures we could put up so folks can see?
I know there are some on, online. I'm on my tablet if somebody else wants to.
Well, look, I mean, the other thing I wanted to say, though, is like there's this whole, I guess, theory about right-wing art, whether it's comics, whether it's, murals, whether it's music, whatever it is, where even if they get the technical stuff right, even if the marketing is good, even if the talent is there, even if the skill is there, there's a certain like artistic heart that is missing. And, when you're talking about folks who got it and were like, it's underwhelming, it's not what I expected, it doesn't have, something seems to be missing. And I think that's like a big thing when you're coming at this from the right-wing side of things, and there's just not, there's just not anything behind it. They're trying to copy how leftists spread our ideas. And it always feels a little bit like added to the top, But I wanted to bring it up in part to talk about like the absolutely horrible art at the Kyle Rittenhouse Cultural Center. If y'all have heard about that.
No.
Oh God, not the Kyle Rittenhouse Cultural Center.
What? I didn't hear about any of this. What is going on?
It's a center, I think, in Brazil that got raided.
It's a bunch of libertarians down in Brazil, right libertarians, that somehow linked. They made the news circuit when they celebrated the guy who tried to off the vice president of Argentina, I think it was.
Yeah. They got raided after supporting that dude.
Yeah. And it's the pictures from inside it are pretty wild.
Do we have any we can pull up?
I'm finding it.
Yeah. Let's see.
But no, I was going to say, as far as right-wing art, though, we've seen like Frank Miller.
Here's a little video I found a video for it.
Frank Miller writes Batman amazingly well, and Batman is more of a right-wing character. and he writes
Screen.
his politics into Batman a lot, including his anti-communism.
Welcome to Kyle Rittenhouse. There we
So,
go.
I mean, that can be a thing that's done well, but damn.
Here we go.
All right,
Is it-
so let's see this Kyle Rittenhouse shit.
All right, and I got the ISOM preview pages up after that.
Here's a little video about the Kyle Rittenhouse Cultural Center in Argentina.
Oh, it's Argentina.
Argentina, yeah. Where the well, they have a Facebook too. Let me pull up the tab to that. Oh, their Facebook page got taken down. Okay, they do not have a Facebook anymore.
Let me know. You ready to play the video?
I'm ready to play the video.
All right, here it is. Let's see what they got.
It's a black screen.
Yeah,
Oh wait, there we go.
there it is.
All right, so it is actually a video that plays. It's just black at the beginning.
Weird. This is a long intro.
Look at I just want to pause. Look at this ridiculous.
What is this flag like set up?
I think it's supposed to be ANCAP, but their yellow is really light.
Okay, is that actually black? That's so weird. It doesn't look black or yellow.
And
Might have to fast forward if it's just video or if
Yeah.
it's just pictures.
oh, here. Yeah, here.
Oh, here's the chuds. Here we go.
There they are. You know, they got
Who's in the middle in the
Bolsonaro.
back? It looks like Biden. It looks like fucking Biden on the one side. Is that who is that?
I don't know. I think that's what Bolsonaro and Trump.
Yeah,
That's obviously Kyle Rittenhouse.
yeah.
I
With
don't
like
know
an
who.
eye patch on.
I
or
think that's
something.
a monocle.
Nope.
It's a monocle scope. Okay.
A monocle scope. Yeah, he's just wearing.
I don't
Look
get
at
it.
Look at this boomer with this fucking shirt.
What is this? Oh!
Again, even if this person was otherwise talented in making murals, there's just something.
Okay. Do you think that dude knows what his shirt is?
I
I don't know. That's a
don't know.
lot
He
of
probably just
question.
thinks, oh, meme. Who knows?
Meme
He's
magic.
trying to be hip. He's trying to be hip with the kids. He says, how do you do, fellow right-wing online 4chan shit posters? You know?
How do you do, fellow Anons?
Yeah, how do you do, fellow anons?
Oh my goodness.
That's yeah.
How
so
do you
here's-
do, fellow boogs?
Let's see.
Oh,
There's probably some more.
That's wild.
Let's see if we can find some more. Just
It's the
pictures of it.
worst of the Boogaloo crew.
I did get the ISOM preview pages up if we want to. Let me know. We can switch to
But yeah,
those.
they were arrested after celebrating the guy. They have more pictures of it in nothing in Business Insider from inside the
Well, that
Absolutely wild.
assassination attempt is really interesting. I would highly recommend everyone listen to the It Could Happen Here Assassination Week episode on that attempted assassination of De Kirchner in Argentina, because the guy who did it is like a Dragon Ball Z dude and is like mad about a Dragon Ball Z voice actor being accused of sexual assault, like
Vic Mignogna.
with grounds. Yeah.
How did
That's
I
like
not-
why he's a right winger. It's so weird.
Vic Mignogna lives in Florida.
Oh,
I've
really?
seen him he goes to cons all the time, but he's actually starting to get banned from a number of cons around here because of his behavior.
So you could throw paint on him if you wanted.
Yeah, throw some paint on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get banned from most of the cons that he attends because, you know.
Someone else
But
noticed the old man with the troll shirt is deeply and hilariously depressing.
Yeah. Those are the words I would use. Deeply and hilariously depressing.
But yeah, there's a Kyle Rittenhouse Cultural Center. That's the thing.
I want to make a painting of that old man in the style of those paintings.
Please do. I mean, that would be hilarious.
I don't paint, but I think I can paint well enough to mimic that. That's the sad part. We'll see what turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. God, the Trump face is so shitty.
It's so square.
I'll do his face slightly less square than that, but I'll do it definitely.
Then this guy here just.
He looks happy to be there for sure. That's the face of what the hell did my friends get me into?
Yeah, they are. I want more pictures. There's more pictures from inside here. I don't know why they're. I saw a whole bunch of different ones from inside this thing, and I'm not finding.
Just go to an image search, maybe.
I did that. It didn't. Let's see.
Didn't bring out all the fun pictures that you wanted.
No, it didn't bring up everything that I had hoped and dreamed for. It's kind of.
Oh.
There was more. There was more. Oh, is this?
Oh
no,
yeah,
that's not it. Yeah, there was more.
Why?
It also like gives me the same vibes as like, you know, IRA murals that were made by literal children that I like really appreciate. And it's like it's okay.
Oh yeah, this was from it. They got the
literal children
battalion thing painted in there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They have this shit up.
I think.
It's
Yep.
the
This
Azov.
is more. This is more from it. There we go.
There you go. The Azov Battalion logo.
Wow.
Azov Battalion logo.
Well, I think people underestimate how international both fascism and anarchism are. Like I was talking to my mom's boyfriend the other night, and he was like, "So you know, you work with like people in the U.S., right? Like it's all like in the U.S." And I was like, "Well, no." Actually, anarchism is all over the world, and it's like a whole thing where we're very much not restrained by borders. And fascism is the only thing that is like, I think similarly holds on to these tiny little international threads where you could have something like a Kyle Rittenhouse Cultural Center in Argentina, right?
Mm-hmm. So this is the guy who painted the Kyle Rittenhouse mural right here. This is a picture of him painting it. It looks like.
God. I mean, what was it? The Christchurch shooter yelled, "Subscribe to PewDiePie."
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that became like a. Well, that was like a whole meme that they were using in place of.
Very hard to tell with PewDiePie in general. I mean, either way, he seems like a shitty dude. It's hard to tell if he's a Nazi or if he just doesn't care if people perceive him as one.
Yeah, I don't know that I see a big difference there, because if you don't care about people perceiving you as a Nazi, what's to stop you from becoming one? Like, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's weird, because he is like, I think the closest thing that he did to anything was donate to the or say he was going to donate to the Anti-Defamation League. And then some of his audience complained for various reasons, so he pulled the donation.
Gotcha. Well, I got the ISOM preview.
Yeah.
All right,
Look
let's
at that shit.
switch.
So this is the first page. Let me see if I can make it bigger, actually. This is the first page we got.
See, that's the thing is, I'm guessing that there just ended up being no sound effects, period, because, I mean, I assume there's going to be speech bubbles, but...
There's not room for both the way these are drawn.
There's not room for speech bubbles, really. I guess, I don't know.
This just looks like an action page.
Yeah,
and it looks like they probably aren't going to have anything on there, and it's like, why?
Well, and why pick that as your preview, right? Like, we're not missing anything from seeing this, so...
Yeah, and honestly, the middle panel is so boring.
This one right here, yeah.
Like, it's such a boring preview for for that. The other two, the top two panels, there's some
decent movement in the top two.
Yeah, I mean, these are professionals who are doing this art, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. Like, why is there no sound effects in the second panel at all?
Yeah. No, it really just... And this middle panel is so weird.
There's probably a text bubble there that says something. The text bubble's probably removed too.
Yeah.
I bet there is words.
Does the other previews have text bubbles in them just without text? I thought so.
I don't know. These ones that I have are... This is what I found.
Do we have another one, or is there another page?
Is this off the Rippaverse website? Because they have official, or promotional material in there.
Let me see. No, this is someone. This is a reviewer. Yeah, let me go to their site.
Talking about how shitty it is. No.
Well, mostly.
Mostly.
Yep.
What do you mean mostly?
I mean, they're saying like very much similar things to what you were just saying of like, it's not terrible. It's not unprofessional. It's not amateurish, but it's also not anything to write home about.
And I mean, to be fair...
Yeah, if you go to ISOM Campaign 1, you can see the 3 pages for the interiors of the books.
Yeah, to be fair, this is his first comic that he's ever released publicly. And he said it himself, the market will decide. So he put his heart into it. It's nothing to write home about. And
I mean, he already made $3 million off of it, according to the goal thing. So,
and he'll have enough of an audience to buy issue 2, even if he can't. Even if he's not going to get as much of a print run for issue 2. Even if he's not going to be able to get as many sales for issue 2, he will be able to retain an audience for a little bit. How long? Depends on if the writing gets better or not. Yeah. Don't know that that big a fucking...
So James, wait, where on this page am I looking for?
Keep scroll down, way down.
Scroll way down. Okay.
Way down.
This is probably why I missed it before. Interiors. Here we go. Yes, we saw this one already. That's what. Yeah, these are all the same ones I had.
Okay, so there are no speech bubbles on any of them.
There's no speech bubbles on any. And let me...
I can't imagine there's no speech on any of these pages.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean that speech bubbles just weren't added. That's all that means for that, which is pretty normal for, stages of art with comics.
There's the second one.
But sound effects are usually drawn into the panel. Not always, but a lot of times. I mean, you do have some letterers who do sound effects too instead of artists. It really depends. It really, really depends. So I'm curious to see.
Yeah.
I bet that's all stuff they added later. These are probably pages because this is from like the cam. These are like not stuff that I don't know when this was put up, but those pages are pages that were put up like during the sale and pre-sale. It looks like from where they're
Yeah, these
located
have
at.
no lettering or sound effects, but the question
Yeah.
is there sound effects put in?
I don't think those are like release copies for the final.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know.
No.
I really want to see the scan.
And he very much said it, wasn't. That the preview art was not a release, was not release ready art.
Well, that's what we got.
Yeah, so nobody even doing an image search. Nobody has got any scans of any panels that have lettering.
No, this is all I
Well,
found.
this
was these
reviewer gave
ones.
it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, what did they say?
They said that
And who is this from what website so we
this
know
is from
how partial?
comicalopinions.com by Gabriel Hernandez. And the review says that it's quality, appropriately sized box and guard tabs to buffer against shipping damage. It's bagged and boarded neatly.
So nothing to do with the comic.
The pages are thick semi-gloss. The ink didn't smudge in the shipping.
Great job, Eric. Quality printing, quality shipping.
That's half the review is talking about how they ship
Which we all know is decided by, the writer, and is not at all just like whoever you hired to ship it.
It says the plot is clean and clear. The pacing is brisk. The dialogue is neutral. But the story flows beautifully. It's 100 pages, by the way.
I thought it was 96 from what I saw on others.
This says 100. It says for 100 page, it's surprisingly brisk. So,
but is that
apparently the origins? They don't have a good origin story according to this. It says the origin is unclear. We don't know how he got powers or even if he's human.
So is it just not a good origin or not a fully explained origin?
It looks like it's not an explained origin at all. They just kind of he got powers. So they have no. So that could be something they get into later. Like
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
It says that a lot of information is left out. It doesn't give the readers much to understand his point of view, is what it says. So they're leaving a lot of stuff out. Why, who, what, when, where, why, and how. It seems like they leave out according to this review. There's no care. This is a quote from it. Without understanding the character's point of view, there's no clarity about the character's motivation. At best, Avery is motivated to lash out against his enemy because he felt disrespected, which is a thin motivation when you consider how far Avery goes to stay off the grid and away from the public. So it sounds to me like he's just beating up people who are hating on him, and that's pretty much all they give you.
Sounds like ANCAPs to me.
It does sound like ANCAPs.
We did talk about a possible crossover with the Voluntariist at one point, or whatever that superhero comic is, by what's his name, Jake Lloyd, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, they're saying he seems to be a very contradictory character, which makes sense because, ANCAPs are very contradictory ideology. So it makes sense. And then another point is that the cliffhanger is weak. Quote, it's fair to say there is no cliffhanger. The story simply stops with a to be continued.
Damn. Okay, so not great character development, not great speech, not who.
But it's heavy glossy paper and
it's heavy glossy paper. Good shipping. You're discounting the
unclear
shipping.
motivation. How did this? Half this review of the actual comic was trashing it and saying it wasn't that great, and then it got an 8 out of 10.
Let's see. Well, here's where you go. The art. Move to the art. The lines are pristine.
Okay.
The character designs portray athletic men and beautiful women. The panel composition is excellent. The action scenes have plenty of energy, and the overall visual representation is well done.
I hate to say it, though, but the art might be the thing that gets people to buy the comic, especially cover art.
And the packaging.
At the end of the day, you see constantly that good storytelling is what actually sells comics. You can have a great story with shitty art, it'll still sell. You can have a shitty story with great art, it won't really sell. I mean, you'll have a few people who just want to collect it for art reference and ooh, pretty. But yeah, so yeah, if that's getting it better review, like because it has great art, nobody was disputing that it was going to have good art. It's people from the industry that are involved in doing this. These are not novices.
Well, it reminds me of working with libertarians on like film projects and this whole big focus on like we need the highest end equipment and the best production quality. We're going to make this look so professional. And it's like, it doesn't matter how professional you make it look. It doesn't matter how great of a camera you're using if the story is not there and like isn't engaging.
It's like Ben Shapiro's fucking bullshit, or what Blaze's fucking movie production label now, movie production company. They put out that movie with Gina Carano, that Western with Gina Carano, and you know, all this shit, and they're banking off of her stardom. And it wasn't a good movie from what I heard. I haven't watched it yet because I haven't sadly gotten a chance, but you know, it just wasn't that great from what people said. And it's like, you can get the best equipment, the best people involved and everything else, but unless the actual creative team calling the shots is like actually talented enough in that way, that's not going to be a good project. And it's interesting too, because that's Blaze TV shit, and that's also who Eric works for outside of Reverse shit.
Well, you know, ANCAPs, they really do, for people who claim to be fiscally responsible, they do like just throwing money at things irresponsibly. You know, they do love doing that. They do love doing that.
That's actually a great segue, but you have more to say about that?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know that
one final
to do with ANCAP. Our next topic has to do with ANCAPs, but
one more thing though. The big summary in the review, is Isom 1 worth $35? No.
8 out of 10, and the answer is
8 out of 10.
Well, it can be a good comic and not worth the money. But I mean, at the end of the day, if he's saying the writing's nah, and the things that are giving it, you know, a good review are the cover, or you know, the art,
the shipping,
you know, the paper, the shipping, that type of shit, it's not a good comic. If people don't think it's worth it at the end of the day, which most people, even people who seem to be on his side, I mean, there are people who definitely still thought it was worth it. But it seems it's interesting and contradictory because he's both like mockingly to he's both sold it as well. I mean, he claims he hasn't sold it as this. Other people have just sold it as non-woke. And he said it's not anti-woke, it's just non-woke. Um,
He just
but
happened to hire a bunch of people who quit the industry because it was woke, right?
yeah, and then he also shit, what was I where was I going with that? I don't remember. Either way, oh yeah, no, he sold it as non-woke, but he also was selling it, or he also was mockingly talking about how. Well, I mean, he has talked about how, like, if you want to create characters, for representation, then create original characters, not rip-off characters. And so he said, like, that's, what he's doing is he's actually creating an original black character with Isom, and and it's a black owned comic label too. And he's just like, oh, here I am doing what all these all these fucking SJWs want, and they're mad at me. And so but then he's got some people who really are about like, oh, it's a black owned label and this and that. And so you do have people, it seems that you have people who are either like hardcore ANCAPs or people who were more right leaning, like black folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's typically what seems to be his audience, and just, gamer or comic skaters in general. And yeah, I mean, you're going to have a built in audience. They like shittier comics, as evidenced by Archaven Comics.
Well, we got so many tie-ins at this point. Jeez. Before we hop into that, though, I have Multiversus set up on my end. I'm sending you one more invite, James. I love that I don't know if this is your Steam or your HBO or whatever, but this profile pic of Simon / the Ice King from Adventure Time.
Oh yeah, that was from. I saw that it was one of the icons I could pick in this game.
One of my favorite lines, hands down, involving Ice King was when he's seeing the cosmic owl, and he's just like, "Why does nobody like me? You're a
Did you send me a party invite?
sociopath."
Oh, the game timed out on me. Oh, okay.
No, okay, we'll wait for you. Yeah, I relate to Simon way more than is like probably healthy.
Well, it's interesting because
he's really just he's always trying to do the best, and it's not his fault he lost his mind.
It's true. It's not his fault he lost his mind.
They both hold him accountable for his behavior and say that it's not okay, but they also make you sympathetic to what
you said you're going to shoot me a party invite because
he's gone through.
I'm in now.
And it's also, he just starts out as the stereotypical villain who steals princesses, which is just such a great trope. And then actually like subverting that in multiple ways. Subverting that by first holding him accountable and, pointing out that his behavior is horrendous and sexist and just, everything else. And then going from there to be like, okay, how did he get here? And making you feel, sympathetic to him in many ways, but also never not holding him accountable.
Yeah. So yeah, the next thing we were going to talk about was this other right-wing project that turned out to be a massive grift. So I don't know how many people are familiar with Theodore Beagle / Vox Day.
We've talked about him before.
We've talked about him before. But he was putting together a comic called Rebel Run, which
for
was
Arcaven Comics.
through Arcaven Comics. And it was like arguably a Confederate superhero.
Arguably?
Well, that was the thing. He was always like weirdly defensive about it, and like he's just wearing those colors, like they're just rebel colors, and it was like, but why? Like,
well, he's named Rebel, and it's Rebel colors. What do you
wearing Confederate flag colors?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was going to be a thing. They ended up getting a bunch of money from, what were they called? I have this up somewhere. They got a bunch of money from, a startup funder who turned out to actually be a crypto pyramid scheme. So
I thought they crowdfunded a bunch of money and had.
So they crowdfunded a bunch of money. They gave it to the crypto folks to hold on to and to raise more with, and it's now all gone. So the crypto pyramid scheme guys, it was called like Video Film Media or something like equally like you should have known this was a scam. Based in Utah. Ohana is the name they were using. And so they took all of this like seed money and then did not do anything with it, didn't raise any more, basically just lost all of it. The game is like super lagging on my side.
Critical support for crypto bros stealing from Nazis.
Right though, like I don't really mind when they go after
Christian
each other.
Nationalists.
Yeah.
Maybe what if I try streaming it?
All right, let's try that. I'm gonna stop sharing on my end.
But yeah, no, Vox Day actually, he founded Arcaven Comics, and you remember he was poaching talent like Chuck Dixon. We had talked about
that actually. Chuck Dixon was writing for this series for Rebel Run.
Yeah,
which is the big name attached to it, and he also wrote for Arcaven. He wrote on some of the alt hero comics for Arcaven. And one of the weirdest things is that in one of them, there is included this like QAnon slogan, where one goes, we all go, or where we all go, one goes.
Where we go, one, we go all.
Where we go, one, we go all. That's in one of the alt hero comics.
Oh, how do I pick this thing up?
That's not.
That's not how you
I can move.
Surprising at all, but that's it. Honestly, I'm more interested in Arcaven, even though it's got even sketchier like political ties and much more overt politics in its comics. One thing I will say is I haven't heard anyone mention, politics in his comic in ISOM. But
yeah.
I am still interested in some of Arcaven comics because I like Chuck Dixon's writing.
Right.
But I like Chuck Dixon's writing on established characters. I've never read any of his indie shit. So I don't know. I loved his Punisher work. I loved his Batman work. Like, he's amazing. I grew up on his stuff. But yeah, now he's doing this bullshit. And like he's always been right-wing. We've always known this. But yeah, no, it's...
Oh, you can see me moving. I can't. It's so weird.
I would honestly... I should look up and see if I can find scans of Rebel and read it.
You're doing things. You're beating me up right now. You're flying off the
edge. No shit. I would be curious just to see what Rebel the comic is like, aside from the bullshit, Confederate stuff. Just how is it writing wise? Because honestly, it would be funnier if the comic that has way shittier, overtly like fucked up politics, has better writing than Eric July's apolitical comic.
Right. And this was not non-woke. This was specifically, marketed as anti-woke.
Oh yeah, no, this is
like
Archaven Comics. I mean, I think the first hero in Archaven Comics actually ended up being like a Christian nationalist superhero too.
It's kind of weird.
So yeah, no.
You need to restart your game.
Yeah, I might try that.
Fuck crypto bros, but also fuck crypto scammers, but also critical support for crypto scammers scamming Nazis.
Speaking of crypto scammers scamming Nazis, did you see the crypto scammers tried to scam the Libertarian Party by taking over their account and doing an NFT?
That was so funny.
Yes, that was the great. What's funny is the amount of people who didn't realize that was a hack at first, because they're just like, oh, they're promoting NFTs now. That makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then it just started being all about that one, and then it just started being that one dude's shit, and then he changed it entirely to be...
You changed the name to Tyler Hobbs.
Yeah.
What was really great is for those 3 days, the Libertarian Party didn't tweet out anything racist. It was the longest period of time since the Mises Caucus took control of the LP that something that wasn't bigoted, was on that page.
Petition to change the LP back to Tyler Hobbs.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We just renamed the party Tyler Hobbs.
Just Tyler Hobbs. Elect Tyler Hobbs for the chair.
We decided, Alex, in your absence, that we want to petition for the Libertarian Party to go back to being called Tyler Hobbs.
Oh my goodness.
And that it should just focus on promoting NFTs as a party.
Yeah, just become the NFT party.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Hobbs.
The Tyler Hobbs, yeah, Tyler Hobbs.
Just become Tyler Hobbs.
not the Tyler Hobbs party, just Tyler Hobbs.
Just Tyler Hobbs.
Yeah.
Well, the other funny thing about Vox Dan, maybe this is what we talked about on stream before, is the whole Rabid Puppies Hugo nominations troll.
Yeah.
Fiasco, which is hilarious. Because, in short, they nominated Chuck Tingle to try and take away from the seriousness and renown of the Hugo Awards, and Chuck Tingle responded by running his own troll campaign that was specifically put out a piece called "Pounded in the Butt by My Own Hugo Award Nomination."
There is a peppermint butler icon too you can select.
Oh, you can do that, but
don't understand how Chuck Tingle. I mean, I know he's got a formula that he could, but how, even with a formula, has he written hundreds of books?
Hundreds.
He's up to 500 something books at least. Last time I checked, it's wild.
Quite prolific.
Constantly putting out more, and and he found a niche that he can work formulaically with, but it's still, I
wanted to bring it up in part because one of the things I love about Chuck Tingle is that the graphicness, the grossness, what the actual fuck is going on here is not an accident. It's actually on purpose, and it's quite political. And it's very similar to the conversations that we have around things like kink at Pride, where political queerness is kind of about making straight people uncomfortable. And he is, I think, one of the last big cultural icons to really embrace that, besides maybe Lil Nas X, of just trying to put it in your face and what, you don't like it? You don't want to see it? Guess how we feel every day, you know? Like,
I wonder how many other people have drawn the connection between Chuck Tingle and Lil Nas X.
yeah. Probably just me. They're the
But
same
no,
person, right?
you're right. No, I mean probably. Have we ever seen them in the same room?
Have we ever seen them in the same room? All right, so
So
I am back in Multiversus. Seems to be running better. Where would
Alright.
did you send me an invite now, James?
Custom game invite.
Oh, there it is. All right, let's see if this works better. Thank you for streaming the game.
hopefully that works better.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works better.
Well, we had on the list maybe. I don't think this made the final cut, but the new Velma series. So I'm gonna play as Velma.
Oh yeah, do we want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We don't really know much except for Velma's gay.
Yeah, but
Well, that's always been the case.
Right.
isn't this the one that she's also like Asian too, and everybody was up in arms about that, like all the right wingers were, even though this is not the first time she's been Asian.
I think she's half Asian, but same thing. We're like, yeah, they don't care. She's not just white, and so that's a problem inherently.
Yeah, I want to say because I want to say she's got much darker skin in this one too, if I remember the animation. Like, and it,
she does.
you know, it definitely the first time you see it, it's like, oh, like that's not how we've drawn Vilma ever. Like, you know, and it's interesting.
I'm mostly excited for the girlfriend.
Yeah,
she seems to be like the perfect comic relief.
What?
but everybody was up in arms about how she was, you know,
you disconnected.
She had darker skin, but it's also this is not the first time she's been portrayed as
server error
Asian at all. It's just the first time the animation has had her with darker skin. It's the same fucking pseudo controversy as when they started doing Damian Wayne and Wayne Family Adventures with like darker skin, and you know. Yeah,
we've heard so much about that. I mean, that's the other, you know, and I want to talk about this at some point on stream, but the Rings of Power series, you know, the number of people who are just like upset about various characters being black, and it was like, especially with like dwarves like Disa, Durin's wife, it's like Tolkien canonically said some of the dwarves are darker skinned. Like what?
Yeah, like it's not. And Eric July and his shit and his reviews of it, because he admits that he doesn't watch these things. He just that he gave up so long ago, but then he'll still talk about it.
Right.
God, it's such a grift, an obvious grift.
Sneakies.
But so he was talking about how, you know, oh, well, Tolkien wrote these as like European mythology. You know, like he wrote these as European mythology. It's like, he's like, if we want to have
play like a
black people and you know, if we want to have black people in it, we could draw from African mythology. You know, he's like trying to cram white characters into African mythology would be just as, you know, messed up as trying to cram black characters into Tolkien because as European mythology. And it's just like, where are you getting this when Tolkien actually...
Right, tell me you haven't read Tolkien without telling me you haven't read Tolkien.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's bullshit.
We're just gonna go fight people online.
It's pseudo controversy that is done by people who didn't fucking read the shit or that they're commenting on.
Right.
You know, it's the same people being upset by Harley Quinn being, being gay in the or being bi in the new series, and same thing with Ivy, who, depending on canon, is sometimes portrayed as lesbian, sometimes bi. But everybody was really upset. Oh, excuse me. A lot of people were really upset that she wasn't gay in the series, that she's bi.
Interesting.
And it's like, okay, but
Interesting.
she's been shown to have romances with men, even if that's kind of a thing of the past, and that doesn't mean that, she isn't a lesbian.
Well, as
We're
my wife
also-
likes to say, that she's a lesbian except for her husband.
I've definitely known people like that, but
There's no
and
accounting for this shit.
yeah, no, it's interesting because nothing's saying that, she wasn't bi at one time and then lesbian later in the comics. Like, whatever. There are also like so many different universes, and the Harley Quinn cartoon is its own universe. So that's a totally different interpretation from the character from any other. And so I don't get why people are upset by it. But transitioning, Harley Quinn season 3. I know you have not seen it, James. Have you seen it, Alex?
I have not. Yeah.
No?
No.
Okay, so then I
That's why I
won't.
said I'll talk about Andor.
Ooh.
Talk about
Okay, I
Andor all
won't
night.
dive too much into it, but did y'all see the first 2 seasons at all?
I
saw
did
the
watch
first
them,
and
yeah.
part of the second. That's where I'm at.
Okay, so only part of the second?
Yeah, I know.
Oh shit. So do you even know how the second ends?
Nope. I don't mind spoilers though. You can say whatever.
Yeah, so spoilers for our audience. I won't spoil too much, but at the end of season 2, they wind up together, and Harley and Ivy. And season 3, well, the mini-series comic that T. Franklin did, the Eat Bang Kill Tour, that then went into kind of the aftermath of Ivy's breakup with Kite Man, and how, like, still the guilt and other things over that, and how that wasn't just solved because she was dating Harley. She wasn't just over that. And then this season has been really awesome because it's them trying to grow as a relationship and failing at times, but then still growing. Ends up.
So it's a real relationship.
Yeah, so Harley ends up, really trying to be there for Ivy in ways that she doesn't. She tries to be super interested in everything Ivy wants to do and all her plans, and is getting into that shit even when it's not really something she's interested in or something she wants to do. And she's trying to be supportive to the point of actually, like, annoying Ivy and interfering with Ivy's plans. And it's very, very real. Like, she's trying to, at one point they go to Eden, Ivy's former project that former place that she tried to terraform, part of a piece of land that she was trying to terraform. And she, Ivy brought her there as a surprise, and or Harley brought her there as a surprise, and Ivy didn't want to see that because that was a failed project.
Yeah.
You know, but then it was like, okay, then when she finally did get into it, Harley got bored really quickly, but then didn't want to say that. And so it was just, okay, let's continue to be enthusiastic, you know, and all that. And then it was just super obvious. And then once she got annoying, Ivy, instead of just talking to her there, neither of them were communicating well. Ivy, instead of talking to her, just manipulated her. And, you know, at one point, Joker called Ivy out for her behavior being similar in some ways.
Oh, okay. Where do you think I learned it from?
And then she realized, yeah, but the difference is I'm actually willing to work on shit. But the real moral conflict beyond that is Harley's at a point where her and Ivy have conflicting morals about where they want to go and what they want to do and how they want to interact with and change the world. They're not exactly on the same side when it comes to their goals. And they have to figure out how to work around that. So, you know, that's a big thing too, is once they realize their goals are literally conflicting, they have to figure out how to still be there for each other and balance that. So it's really interesting. Like, it's really interesting. And, you know, these are just small snippets that I, you know, I'm pointing out. But
I'm going to have to go back and finish season 2 and watch season 3 before our next stream, because I don't know. I got bored for a second, and I'm not sure exactly why. But
it
yeah,
built up before it got to Harley and Ivy. And that's what everybody really wanted. And that's where the show really kicked off. But I get why they waited until the end of season 2 to put them together, because season 1 starts out with her leaving Joker. The showrunners didn't want her jumping into another relationship immediately. They wanted Harley to grow and be her own person before she jumped into another relationship.
I really enjoyed what I watched of it so far. I do need to watch the season 3 though.
It's still got one of the best, actually probably the best show intro I can think of for any first episode. My fellow whites.
My fellow whites.
Let us come together to celebrate this pile of money that we got from the... what did he say that we got? Oh, God, I don't even remember.
I don't remember exactly either.
Yeah, that we got through our favorite pastime, fucking the poor.
Fucking the poor.
God, it's so good. But yeah, no, so that the new season is absolutely fucking amazing and really portrays well a three-dimensional queer relationship. One that has its ups and downs, is not perfect, but is not toxic either. And that's the fun part, is actually seeing, you know, a queer relationship that isn't just like glorified or toxified in its portrayal.
Right.
It's just,
we had to get one or the other, usually.
Yeah, and I really, I really hate that where it's either like, oh, aren't they the cutest, most perfect queer couple, or oh, it's tragedy and they're
Right.
toxic. And it's just nice to see a real couple. And I'm curious to see if they'll go more into the polyamory aspect of their relationship in the comics.
I'm also
in the
very
future.
curious about that. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that will like get me to like watch again, no question. It's like if they go that direction with it.
Yeah, but I mean, even this is more than we've really gotten in in a lot of media. And it doesn't mean that we'll continue to have more and more media like this, and it's great. It's kind of snowballing, and as far as media representation goes at this point. But yeah, no, I really go watch that, y'all.
Me included.
Yeah. What show are we talking about next?
I think we
I
had
can unlock a character.
She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, James, let's talk about that.
Oh, I gotta unlock Harley Quinn. We're talking about Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Well, now we're talking about She-Hulk.
Oh, She-Hulk.
Well,
She-Hulk was, I don't know. I don't know how many spoilers we want to get into. Spoiler
warning, everyone.
Warning, spoiler.
I've seen
Spoiler
it all.
warning.
Have you, Alex?
No, but I've seen again about half.
Or do we want Finn? Do we want Finn? What?
Damn.
Jake?
So you haven't seen the finale then, because the finale, honestly, is where it gets the most political. Well, it definitely is political throughout. So you said you got about halfway through?
Yeah, and I mean there's been not political things, but it's got a politics already.
Oh yeah, I mean, first episode, people were
like from the get-go
over the fucking her talking about just the anger that you have to control just being a woman in this sexist society.
A lot of people were complaining about a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the stuff they were complaining about were just complete nonsense. Like,
women can't be angry.
Yeah, like it's just like people were so mad about really silly stuff. And one thing I'll say is that the show felt very much like She-Hulk. You know, the pacing of it, the tone of it, the way it was very good. I thought that they cast it very well. I enjoyed everybody in it. The cameos in it were spectacular. They were spectacular cameos. And the things that people were mad about were really, really dumb. And it was all the most funny part of it. And this is a spoiler, is like in the final finale of it. Spoiler warning. Like, it like the main bad guys that you've been dealing with basically are basically the critics of the show that are like it. I thought that was just too funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like
the website that they run. It's where they're just leaking, all this footage and shit and criticizing her. It's just the online forums that people are criticizing the show. And then they form a group out of that online forum. MRA dudes.
And it's just a bunch of MRA dudes that are like mad about they're all getting together in their little final meeting. Powers. They're all she didn't earn her powers, and they're all like
she didn't earn her
they're
powers.
all like calling they're all like she didn't earn her powers, not like Hulk, and it's just like it's so funny.
Right?
And then they kept it was always this, and they were like one of them made just the most funny joke when they sent like someone to go infiltrate the meeting, and she's like, and make sure you always say females. It's just like, and then, like it's,
Oh my god.
so
I
it's
love
like
it.
just like it was pure like all the jokes in it were so good.
They
And then
Well, that's
constantly
what I've
attack the
appreciated so far
toxic
is like the
comic
willingness to be
fan base.
funny.
and
Because like
it was such a funny
you can do things that
such a
are that
funny.
are meaningful, that are impactful, that are well told, that are all of these things that are still also funny.
Yeah. Well, it was just funny because all the shittiest critics, MRA critics, and Comicsgate critics and shit, all the shittiest Comicsgate critics were just portrayed in that as the villains, and all the internet forums, everything. It was just filled with those comments that people were literally making about the show itself. And they were, in interviews, the cast and the crew was talking about just how fucking hilarious it was to watch. They literally picked some of the stuff off of forums to put into the show.
Well, they
Like,
very
based
clearly know
on,
who their audience is and who their audience is in opposition to, and just like.
But yet,
Yeah,
no,
again, I'm happy.
then
I'm so
the damn
happy they were
camera.
willing. I'm so
And
happy
then,
they
like-
were willing to like have fun with it.
But the
Yeah.
fourth wall breaks and everything were so perfect.
Yeah, the first time she turns to that camera, like, oh god, like that's when you knew it was She-Hulk. That's when you knew it was She-Hulk. She turns to the camera and explains what the show is. And yeah, I mean, I
always love that
jokes,
fourth wall breaking. Like, I'm never going to be opposed to that.
Yeah, the jokes at the beginning of how they just kept having Wong cameos in every episode, and it was just like, we swear this isn't the Wong, and it wasn't. Like
I swear this isn't how it's going to be.
Episodes.
Yeah, this
He
isn't the
was
Wong show.
2 episodes with Madison. God, Madison.
Oh, Madison was so good.
Yes. Madison was. Now, do you remember? Madison made a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
Didn't they say? Because what was God? What's the? Yeah, because they said she said she made a deal with some guy named Jake.
Yeah.
Jake Mephisto.
Jake Mephisto.
So, I mean, she didn't say Mephisto, but no, she made a deal with Mephisto. So it was just like, that's hilarious, just the way they slipped that in there. And the way she just pops up at Wong's and just drops the heart and then just like walks off. It's just like, that girl, nothing seems to faze her.
No.
She's the drunk
she's
girl.
She-Hulk.
But like, no, Madison, not
you're
Jen.
talking about Madison. That's
yeah,
right.
no, nothing seems to faze Madison. Like, she's the drunk girl in your party who is always wasted, never quite makes it home at the end of the night, but is that warrior who is like always there the next day with the most wild story to tell, and nothing shocks her. Because she's been through everything.
I have. The Daredevil romance stuff, is that from a later episode, or is that just like speculation?
No, that's
that ends up paying off. It's actually
so good
now,
too.
So Daredevil in this one. Daredevil in this one, you notice they changed his characterization. It's still Charlie Cox, but they made him a lot, not only the change in costume and all that, but they made him a lot more lighthearted.
Yeah.
And a lot more playful, which is not contradictory to his character at all in the comics. He actually is very much that way. But I think it actually tracks for people were saying it's a different characterization and like it seems off in that way. But this is him a few years into it. Right. He's all of a sudden not as haunted by things. He's a little more well-adjusted because he's done this long enough to be able to
he's processed some things.
yeah, so I mean, it makes sense that he can be very playful. And it's interesting too that they mentioned oh, what was it? They mentioned they had that quip about you'd have a better chance getting claiming undiagnosed PTSD.
Yeah.
when they were back and forth, like talk about lawyer shit while they were fighting, and that was a reference to his strategy with Punisher,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's how he got Frank off. So it that so that's how he was trying to do Frank's defense, and it was really interesting to see that callback and confirmation of yes, this is not only the same actor, but it is absolutely the same universe. Now, just like Kingpin, he got a power upgrade in this. You'll notice one of the first things we see him do when he tells She-Hulk to follow him is he just goes off the side of the building in a way that we've never seen him do before in the other show. This is him. That was them showing that he's got a power upgrade in the same way that
Right.
Wilson Fisk definitely seemed to be a lot fucking stronger, and they're trying to upgrade the power levels of these characters in ways that make them more on the level to be able to interact well with other characters in the MCU.
No, right, and that's the thing is
Yeah.
it's kind of like an arms race. Whereas if these other characters are going to be so heavily powered, right? You can't.
Yeah, and they're trying to do it in a way that's subtle enough that the audience won't feel it be jolting because it's not realistic, the power jump that they've gotten.
Right.
But it is interesting. Yeah, no, the Daredevil stuff paid off really amazingly well.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's what I was most invested in. So,
Well,
and I won't really spoil where that goes.
It won't. Well, we can spoil the Walk of Shame.
Again, I don't care about spoilers at all. So,
okay,
only consider
the Walk of Shame though. The night after they hook, or the day after they hook up, you just see Daredevil doing the Walk of Shame home, still in full uniform, but with his boots in his hand.
Yeah,
perfect. I love it.
As
someone who's done a lot of dude walks of shame.
It's so good, and then he waves at one of the neighbors, or one of the people passing on the sidewalk.
Well, I'll never forget. I'd been living in Berlin for about a month. I went to my first ever Berlin sex party, and I gave my shirt to the coat check, and then I lost my ticket for the coat check, and so I couldn't get my shirt back. And I had a bondage harness on, and I was carrying a bunch of ropes. And so I'm walking home at the party ended at 7 a.m. I'm walking home at 7 a.m. through the center of Berlin where everyone's going to their shitty office job in their suit. And I'm wearing a bondage harness and nothing else. And I come across a police officer on the other side of the intersection. I'm like, oh shit, he's going to ask me questions.
And he's also wearing a bondage harness.
Well, I was like, he's going to ask me questions. My German's not good. What am I going to say? I was at a sex party and I lost my shirt. And he gets over to the other side and just looks at me, looks down at the ropes, looks back up at me and goes, "Guten Nacht, ja." Yeah. And he gives me a thumbs up and keeps walking because it's Berlin.
Beautiful.
Guten Nacht, ja.
So, now the ending of She-Hulk too, the way that. And I mean, not going to spoil it too much, but she doesn't like the ending to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it goes the route of every other Marvel movie, where it ends with, the main villain is a copycat of the hero. with duplicate power, duplicate, but slightly opposing
different.
powers.
Yeah.
And they went with that whole thing. And then she's just like, wait, why are we doing this again?
Mhm.
And she decides to, and it was wild when it first happened to me because I wasn't expecting.
No, it
She's
threw
just
me
like-
off.
She's like, I thought I sat on the remote or something because she's like, no, we're not doing this. And then all of a sudden it goes back to the menu.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wait, what? And or at least it looked like it went back to the menu because then she's just like, okay, got to take out this power suppressor. And then she punches through the She-Hulk, like the She-Hulk logo or whatever, the thumbnail,
the episode thumbnail,
She-Hulk thumbnail, and then climbs out and decides to go into the Marvel Assemble documentary so she can confront the crew behind the MCU. So she goes in there, walks into the Warner Brothers lot, and goes and confronts the writers of the show to get shit changed, and ends up confronting Kevin Feige, which I'm not going to spoil that for you because we already spoiled quite a bit.
Again, I don't care, but
no,
watchers might.
the best
Kevin
part of
Feige is
it,
not what you would expect.
The best part of it though was when she asked for X-Men.
Yeah, she was talking to Kevin Feige, and she asked she asked about
the next X-Men movie. Yeah.
Yeah, she just sat down with Kevin Feige and they just talked about the MCU and just like her complaints and things that she wanted to see. And it was just basically her being an audience surrogate talking about, the tired plot lines that have been recycled over and over again and the need to break out of that. And, some of the she talked about dad issues. Why do so many characters have dad issues? Like, she's just like Iron Man, dad issues.
Dad issues.
It's just like, what was
all
it?
of them. All of them.
Peter, Star-Lord, two dads, two different issues. just so good. Like, I don't know. It was really great, and I think you'll really like the characterization of Kevin Feige because it was honestly completely unexpected.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I would not have it. It is not the characterization I would have expected of Kevin Feige, but he was in on it. He wrote off on it. I mean, obviously, but
showed up. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, no, it's really good. She-Hulk's fucking awesome.
I'm pumped to finish it. I really am. Really, really pumped. I'm also pumped. Are we ready to move on to Andor?
Yeah.
That's what I finished today.
I haven't seen episode 7, but whatever.
I am very behind on that.
What's that?
I am very behind on Andor. I've just watched the first episode.
Oh, geez. It's so good. I mean, it's like this comparison has been made a lot. It's a lot like Rogue One.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
More broadly speaking, is like Star Wars that's about the little people and not about like the Skywalkers or, Vader or any of this shit. It's just about like the average rebel on the ground is the Star Wars that I love. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many of the animated series have done really well with this, but I feel like
Star Wars in the city, because like so much of the original trilogy was set on more remote planets.
I was about to say this is something I've liked about Andor so far. is
Yeah,
they
it's
show that
all in a cityscape. Like,
no, it's not.
or it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's more, it's not Tatooine that's,
It's not
it's a lot
Tatooine.
more, it's a
It's
lot
about
more
a city
populated.
boy. It's about a city
Yes,
boy.
that's what I meant to say.
But a lot of it happens, so far on the mountains of Alderaan, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
It's made me feel and think so many things in the same way Rogue One did about like what effective rebellion looks like.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera gets a shout out. Fully get the shout out.
Yeah, Nemec from the series, like, and his manifesto.
Wait,
yes.
he wasn't. Saw Gerrera wasn't in it. I thought he was in the preview for it.
No, I haven't seen him in
He's
it.
not in it yet. He's been mentioned. He's not in it. I think he will be in it later.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he was
that
he
wouldn't
was
be
in the
surprising.
preview.
Yeah.
I was really hoping
he's
that
on the
they'd put
periphery right now.
What I hope from it is that because you know how the Star Wars loves to redo the same scene over and over again, like especially with Order 66, where we've seen that like about 7 times now.
Yeah.
I really want the scene from Rebels to be live action, where it's Saw Gerrera confronting Mon Mothma.
Oh, yeah,
that would be cool.
And
so that
talking
I'm waiting for. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
I would literally
I really think we are.
pay all the money that I have in the world for that to be live action.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get it because we've already got some like really cool questions about rebel leadership and what really is the way to go about this.
Which, if people paid very close attention to my last speech I gave to the Libertarian Party at their convention, I totally ripped off what Saw said to Mon Mothma, almost word for word.
I caught that. I don't know how many other people did. I caught that.
I totally ripped that off almost word for word.
Well, no, I love that we're seeing like, God, again, we get to see like what a rebellion actually looks like. And it's not easy. And sometimes your friends are actually your enemies, and everyone's in it for a different reason. And
sometimes you gotta hire a mercenary to get
sometimes you gotta hire a mercenary. And it just reminds me of all these. This is my deep cut about it, is like all the conversations about the Kurds like benefiting from US airstrikes and stuff like that.
I was just thinking.
Really?
Perfect comparison. Yeah, no, I was just thinking that. Like, you gotta, war is dirty, and you have to.
Dirty. You can't play clean. You can't play
clean. When you're really trying to, engage an insurrection against a big enemy like that, you gotta take allies where you can get them, and especially like in that sense when they're really that outnumbered. And I mean, shit, even before Andor, like even before he actually actually joins the rebellion, just as someone whose back is pressed against the wall, he's relying on a lot of people that aren't necessarily on the same page as him with everything that he does. In fact, several of them chastise him throughout all of it.
I think there's a beautiful illegalist message in the first couple of episodes, right? Of like, this is just as much of a rebellion. This is just as valuable. It doesn't matter that he's not a manifesto writing rebel, right? You are, like he says, I sneak into their houses, I spit on their food, and I take their stuff. How much more can you fight someone? How much more, deeply and intimately can you get in their business than that? And so I love that we are seeing like, again, same as Rogue One, there's so many different ways to be a rebel.
And
so many
what I
different.
like too is, I mean, you've always seen, the cantinas and stuff like that in the movies, but the first episode, you basically start out in a brothel.
Yeah.
Like we've seen Jabba with his, dancers and all that. Like we've seen sex workers in Star Wars, but I don't
Not
know
like
if
that.
any of the, yeah, not like that, and the fact that he was,
Well, that's the
asking
other.
about his
Jeez.
sister potentially being a worker there and
Yeah.
not sounding judgmental about her choice of profession,
Mhm.
but just trying to find her.
Right.
Right.
And, it's really cool that they established that, hey, his sister might be a sex worker,
Well,
and who knows?
it made me feel so many things about like what it means to properly be part of an insurrection, and the fact that when he lands on Alderaan, the other one, and like everybody else is doing this thing of like we don't know you and we have to like count on you for our lives, and like I've been there when I'm the Clem, I'm the Clem
Yeah.
in somebody's basement going, well, these people vouched for me, I'm here, I'm gonna do what I can. I don't trust you either.
Yeah,
We
and
all have to
y'all
pretend
gotta
like we
hope
trust
y'all
each
aren't
other for 5 minutes.
undercover,
Yeah, yeah, we all got to pretend like we trust each other for 5 minutes and get a thing done.
And that's, yeah, no, it's, and
When you're gonna, I mean, the other thing, it just like really, the part that really hit me is like I had a real bad falling out with a friend who's a ex-con recently, and like this whole idea of like, hey, you're going to be working with ex-cons, and there's, you're going to be working with sex workers, you're going to be working with people who have had to lie a lot,
mhm.
and so we are used to distrusting, and there's a certain amount that you should trust and there's a certain amount that you shouldn't, and it's so hard to figure out what it is, especially when you're in like the illegalist insurrection sort of space, and it's like, I know you have to lie to everyone else, how do I know you're not lying to me? And I know people feel that way about me too, like I'm sure they do,
Yeah.
it's
And
just
there's
one of those
sometimes
things.
where, if you're working with people, doing stuff like that, there's times where not telling people stuff is the more trustworthy thing to do. And if it's someone who is actually on your side, they know you will keep stuff from them and they won't pry,
Right. Right. They know
and
when to
that's
stop
the thing.
asking.
And, and I mean, I've even had that with partners. It's like, okay, if we're participating in stuff, I don't want to know what you're doing, and vice versa. To whatever extent, if we're both, working on shit together, that's one thing. But if we're not, like, don't tell me everything.
Well,
Or
this
just
is,
don't
yeah,
tell
I
me.
mean, my wife and I kind of have like a de facto split between, you know, it does support work and we don't talk about what I do, you know.
Mhm.
There's certain parameters around what I'm allowed to do and not, but
Yeah.
beyond that, I mean, it's just so much safer not to talk about it.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's Andor is getting me deep in the feels in the same way Rogue One did, around just like, this is what it's like to actually do insurrection. But the other thing I think has been really, really well portrayed in the series is what fascism actually looks like. Like we're seeing imperial fascists run into, not just have a well-run machine that always works exactly the way they think, but have these problems of bureaucracy, have these problems of status, have these problems of, how hard it is to actually coordinate things when your whole system is built on a political ideology that is about power and not reality. you know
Political scenes in this series have not felt long and drawn out like the prequels,
right.
but have felt more real than than any other movie, or any other movie or TV show that I can think of, as far as just the scenes where you have, the Empire's bureaucracy just sitting down and dealing with stuff. And it's yeah, no, the politics of it just feels so much more real or realistic in their
To the point
portrayal.
where
And
I
it's
feel like I could write something about it as like a guide to insurrection,
Yeah.
through through what happens in Andor.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I really like how much they realize that they just have to, they don't know who's an agent, who's, gonna, and I mean, shit,
You can't know. It's impossible to know.
Cassian was turned in by his friend's fucking boyfriend.
Right.
And then when he realized,
right?
Yeah,
Husband. Partner, regardless.
Yeah. And when he realized what he had done and saw that his partner was getting, fucked up over it by the pigs, like, he tried to go, intervene, which I'm surprised he didn't be like, I gave you the tip or something while he was running up there. But he got shot.
Because it was clear he gave the tip for reasons that he wasn't in control of, probably. And, still try to do the right thing later. And it's just, again, that's what insurrection's like. People are going to fuck up. People are going to talk.
Well, he also he knew a lot more than that's the thing, is he overheard shit that he shouldn't have overheard, which was the thing, that's an important thing about security culture, is you can't just, you have to think about who's around you, including... What did we
learn about comms in this series?
Yeah.
Don't bring your comms with you.
Yeah. Nothing that you don't control, period.
Nothing that you don't... This is why I love Nemec. Oh my goodness. I've been that kid who's writing the manifesto, who knows all these things about use the old school tools, because the old school tools aren't being monitored. And he's got this great line about we're so reliant on the Empire's technology because it's what's here, and for us, it's whether that's Facebook or Gmail or any of these, we're so reliant on this, but we have to think about how to do things without it. And for me, it hit way, way, way deep into my heart, because as of, I don't know, 5 days ago, I now live in rural northern Michigan, rather than Philadelphia. And part of the reason we moved here is to learn how to do the things that we've forgotten that we forgot, right? The things that actually sustain us, the things that actually allow insurrection to happen. They're not having a comms on you, right?
I think one of the lines that really, there's a lot in Nemec stuff that really got to me, but when he talks about, I was writing, when he's talking to Cassian, and he's like, I was writing about you, well, not you, Clem,
right.
Not your real name anyways, but he's just talking about the role of mercenaries, within there. And he's like, y'all, he's like, weapons are a tool, and when you use them, you're, by extension, you are a tool. It's how we utilize you. And when the Empire has no morals, we have to use all that we can. And that's very badly summing up what he said, but it was just that's...
I think that's a great summary. Yeah. We don't have these things.
And that was very real of okay, we can't always think about everything, the ethics of everything. Sometimes we just have to survive and use what tools we have available. And if there's a mercenary willing to help us, well, we can't really worry about
Right.
what their morals are and their motivations and their ethics. We just need to use
Oh,
the tools
put the
at
bomb on
hand
you.
to fight an enemy that is
Oh, no.
an enemy that is also just doesn't have morals, period. At least not any that are productive to society if they see it. So that makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Great fucking series. I need to watch more.
I've been loving it. I've been loving it so far, and
We're only
see a lot
halfway
of-
through.
I see a lot of similarities with Rings of Power, which I hope we get more into at some point on a future stream. But one of the big similarities I see is just like the pace of development is slow. And I loved earlier, James, when we were talking about ISOM, and you're reading that review that's like, well, it's really quickly paced. And it's like, well, why
It's
do we
not
want
necessarily a good thing.
this? Yeah.
Yeah.
In my experience, that's usually really bad. And one of the things I've
And
loved
also-
about Andor is
Yeah, for a 100-page comic, it was pretty brisk. Like, is that a good thing? Like, it depends on the context, but I mean, stories can, that can be like, oh, it reads so well that, you fucking finish it fast. Or it could be, oh, it's really fast paced, but not well written, Like, it can be either of those things depending on context, but it seems like when they said that the writing was that badly, or that bad, then yeah.
But the
And then,
packaging was
on the
good.
other hand, Andor,
but
writing
glossy,
is
heavy
great,
paper.
pacing
Glossy,
is great.
heavy
Yeah.
paper.
Glossy, heavy paper.
Well, Andor both had the glossy, heavy paper and the good writing. And
Well, I'll get into my
how is
complaints about
how
it
would we
now.
rate the shipping though?
How would we rate that? Well, it came on Disney.
I
Plus,
do
which
not
was
like the
annoying.
shipping at all because it was released episodically, which is why I haven't watched it, because I do
Right.
enjoy binge watching shows when I watch. And because of the shipping with the way Disney is releasing shows, I kind of like to wait until I have a number of them and then I can sit down and watch them. So I'm going to rate the shipping a 1 out of 10.
I don't like
Also-
Disney being the shipper either.
We don't, yeah, no, exactly. And also, most of these shows do not get physical media since they're streaming shows. So the question is, I mean, it's Star Wars, so they could bank off that and, do a full, DVD, Blu-ray release, whatever the hell we're on now, like, for, these series is, but I doubt it because we haven't seen that with the MCU, and the MCU's just as
They
big
would
of a
have been
property.
doing that.
Like, they're not going to do it. So that means if Disney Plus shuts down, we lose Andor.
But we might get games, which they're already working on. It keeps going back and forth with whether it's going to happen. The Knights of the Old Republic remaster, which I think
Will it
is
be
still
canon?
happening. What's that?
I said, will it be canon to the current canon now?
I don't know.
Then again, the canon is, well, I mean, honestly, it's a lot tighter since Disney took over, and anyone who,
Yeah, it really is. That's one complaint I don't think we can make. I mean, they did tighten it up.
Episode 9 was terrible. Like, episode 7 was okay. Episode 8 was, in my opinion, amazing. Episode 9 was so terrible that it retroactively ruined the entire trilogy.
I agree. I loved episode 8. Episode 8. And then I was so disappointed.
And it's weird because, like, how did you make a movie that was worse than episode 2?
Mm-hmm.
And episode 2 has
hold on now. Hold on.
Hey,
I will. Hold on.
Episode 2 has a great plot. It was badly acted on Hayden Christensen's part. That's the thing. So, good movie otherwise. And that, but that used to be the worst one. in my opinion, until 8 came or till 9 came out. And
Most
9
people-
is a fun watch. Terrible movie as far as it actually being the end to that trilogy, and it's not. It's the one Star Wars movie I just don't even like the storyline of and refuse to even really accept. That and Solo was just terrible and unnecessary.
Hard disagree on episode 2 being bad.
Oh no. A majority of episode 2 is good. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's just Hayden Christensen's acting.
But
It's
had some of
wooden.
the best, most romantic dialogues that were ever in cinema history. When Hayden Christensen said, "I hate
I don't like
sand.
I
It's
hate
coarse
sand.
and rough
It
and
gets
irritating, and
everywhere."
it gets everywhere." It doesn't. That is peak romance, and only a brilliant person like George Lucas could come up with something so wonderful. But the you know, it's episode, it's kind of wild how much, like,
I do love that.
that
No, all shit aside, that line does actually show at least some, like, I mean, that makes sense with his background. That line actually meant, I think George Lucas meant more with that line than the way that a lot of the fans just memed it. Like, we all just think it's silly dialogue, and it is.
Again,
It's terrible dialogue.
It's the
But
acting.
yeah, he grew up.
It's
He
the
grew up on
delivery.
a planet surrounded by sand, like as
Yeah.
a slave. Do
Yeah.
you want to remember, like, your memories of being a slave or you being surrounded by sand? That's a association that, like, you don't necessarily, yeah, it's a negative association. I could see why he
you're not
doesn't
getting
like
over
it,
that.
but it was so badly acted and so
Delivery.
badly delivered that it just. And also, I don't think that was the way to, even that writing and the way that it was written into that conversation wasn't actually that well written either. But I can just picture George Lucas behind the camera just being like, okay, another take, more wooden this time, less emotion. Just.
Show us you have no emotions behind these words.
I don't know. Hayden Christensen isn't that bad of an actor. He gets a lot
No,
of hate.
he's not. That's the wild part, because by the time of episode 3, I've got no complaints of his acting in that movie. Like, it's not nearly as bad. Why is episode 2 so badly acted on his part?
I think that it's really, his acting was so good that was the problem. He was so good. And the thing is that at that point in Anakin's life, Anakin was an angsty teen. You know,
he doesn't even portray, like, angsty teen that's lusting after a girl that he's been crushing after, for all these years. You can still portray that without. Angsty teen isn't emotionless teen. Like, it's not wooden.
Wooden is
anything,
weird.
Angsty teen is more erratically emotional, not necessarily to the level, you don't need to go full Kylo with it, but you do need to have him showing more emotion. Sure, you can have a lot of anger behind it, but he's got real love for Padme, and that wasn't shown in his acting, except for in maybe 1 or 2 small instances in the movie. Where he really does portray that, but they had no chemistry. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's less Hayden's acting and more just the lack of chemistry between, like him and Natalie Portman. But at the same time, you see Natalie Portman still put on a spectacular performance across from Hayden.
Mhm.
Right.
So how, like, when she's able to put on that great a performance across from that wooden of a fucking actor, or at least to that wooden of a delivery, it just, yeah, it's such an anomaly, and I don't get it because Hayden can do it, and I don't know why he wasn't able to there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You
that's.
never know.
But see, that's my complaint. Is episode 2 is only slightly unwatchable in how you cringe on the acting at times, but it's not a bad movie. Overall, it's a damn good storyline. It's a damn good movie.
My complaint
Episode
with the
8
prequel
or
series
episode
isn't-
9,
my
terrible.
complaint with the prequel series isn't actually anything to do with the movies individually, but more so the gap in character development between episode 2 and episode 3 of Anakin, which was
Yeah.
completely resolved by the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, honestly, Clone Wars is almost necessary for the
Mhm.
prequel trilogy in many ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely love the prequel trilogy. But yeah, no, I would have loved to see Duel of Fates. I haven't actually, there's a comic adaptation of the script. I haven't actually
Yeah.
read it, but I've, listened to a few recaps of it on YouTube and stuff like that of the script, and the fact that they actually had a stormtrooper insurrection and, actually had Finn's storyline lead somewhere in that respect. I mean, it was always odd to me that as soon as he switched sides, he was cheering whenever he was shooting stormtroopers. It's very weird.
Very weird.
Especially when he quit because he saw his friends die. Whatever. Contradictory fucking, yeah, character development there. But that aside, like,
These people
episode
are
9
good.
just ditched fucking everything. They ditched the Rose, like, Finn romance. They ditched the fact that we
interesting.
actually, like, the fact that we actually figured out the cause and funding of the Star Wars, and we could have actually had an episode that dealt with attacking the real enemy.
Right.
Yes, the fascists too, but also the capitalists who enable them. That would have been
so much missed opportunity. So much missed opportunity there.
Like, we had, threads about slavery in episode 8 that could have been, actually brought in, like, so many, and we had a lot of gray Jedi philosophy touched upon that, not by name, but, philosophically, yeah, it was gray Jedi shit that was touched upon and just dropped come episode 9. And the only thing I like about episode 9 is I do like how it tied in Palpatine as the overarching villain for the entire 9 movies.
I love
And
that.
that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I just wish that the thing that, again, they need to have an animated series that takes place in between 8 and 9 to tie that together.
Yeah.
Well, there's the thing too, is the novelization. The novelization is canon over the movie of episode 9 because episode 9 didn't explain shit well enough that the novelization had to fill in the gaps and is actually considered canon over it. They never played the message that, Palpatine sends. That was fucking played over a Fortnite promotion. That was played in Fortnite. That was never played in the movie.
Right.
They also never really explained the whole Snoke Palpatine thing that well in the movie at all. That was only in the novelization that they actually went into detail about that. Yeah, and so the thing is
it was explained in the movie. But,
you panned over a cloning facility that had someone that looked like Snoke in it. That was the explaining, right?
Right, explained.
Explain.
they actually went into more explicit detail in the novelization and talked about how he had been through a series of bodies and this and that. And when the novelization is canon over the movie, you failed.
Right. The movie didn't work.
You failed to make a Star Wars movie. And so it's objectively just a failure of a fucking Star Wars film. And I forget, I don't think Duel of Fates had Palpatine as the overarching enemy, sadly. So that's the one thing we wouldn't have got if we went with Duel of Fates. But again, I haven't read Duel of Fates, so I have to go and read that.
Let's all read it for a future stream. I would be down.
Yeah. I mean, shit, if we really wanted to, we can even sit there and if people wanted to support us on Patreon or something, we can actually and wanted to request it, we can even do a script read through and commentary on that.
That would be fun.
So yeah, if you want to see shit like that, go support us on Patreon. No, Patreon. Look at that over there. Over there. There's links on the side of the screen.
That way?
Yeah. No. Yeah. But yeah. No. I love so much of what Disney's done with. There's a lot of fun stuff within. There's a lot of fun legacy stuff. The old extended universe was amazing with Mara Jade and a lot of I mean, I miss the Solo kids. I miss a lot of those adventures, but at the same time, it was so convoluted and there wasn't a real canon. And now we're actually getting a real canon for once. And it's amazing, other than, minus episode 9. And I did like elements of Solo. Hands down, I mean, Childish Gambino is Lando Calrissian.
That was
perfect casting. No, and confirmation that he's a pansexual character. Like, this is, and then Billy D. Williams coming out after that caused controversy and being like, well, I mean, I'm gender fluid. And he's like, I always put an element of that into the character when I portrayed him too. So
that was one of my favorite things, actually, coming back and being like, no, Lando's always been a little bit.
Yeah, and the fact that Billy D took that chance to come out too, like, Billy D. Williams is gender fluid. Like, that's cool as shit. Like, the fact that Lando is not, and if he said that he portrayed that in the character, then that means Lando's gender fluid too. Lando's not cis or het. So fuck yeah. And I mean, that's totally canon, like a lot of that. But the thing with the dice already being on the chain, when that was the dice that he was supposed to have won the Millennium Falcon with, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But
there were so many moments like that in Solo that were just like,
nobody really wanted to see
pay attention to what you were doing.
Yeah, like some people wanted to see the Kessel Run, but a lot of us didn't. We liked the idea that
a lot of us didn't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, no, honestly, I loved the idea that it was not shown, so that way we just argued about fan theories on how the hell he won it and fucking
whether he was telling the truth, right?
Like, he said he won it in a certain distance. Like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's so, and I mean, obviously we know the real life answer because George Lucas didn't know parsecs was the measurement of length. He thought it was a time. But, that led to just a bunch of fan theories being built around it. And it took the mystique around that away.
Yeah.
When we actually got to see the Kessel Run. And not to mention, nobody wanted to find out that Solo was a nickname.
No, that was upsetting. That was
That
actually upsetting.
actively.
And this is one of the things I've been appreciating about both Andor and the Rings of Power series, in part because they're both very focused. They're both somewhat focused on like little people, like not your main characters. Like Galadriel is in Rings of Power, like she's our main character, but we see a lot of small things that are not the main whatever, and it's like it allows you to maintain all of the mystique, right? It allows you to do world building. It allows you to make things deeper and harder to understand. And I love that. I mean, that's what I want out of like every world that I like get into is like just show me like the crevices where nothing of import is happening, or things that will turn out to be of import with both, but don't necessarily look like they are from the front. So, yeah.
A leftist, illegalist, insurrectionist Star Wars movie. I mean, we've got the leftist insurrectionist Star Wars movie in Rogue One, but the fact that they went full illegalist with this one.
The fact that they went full illegalist is like.
And not like in that fake ass Han Solo, or, not in that fake ass Solo way.
I
Where
was once a smuggler. No, this is.
Yeah, like this is down in the dirt illegalism and seeing, everything that comes with it. And
Cassian's not a true believer. He's a I'm trying to take care of my people. I'm trying to take care of me.
Well, the fact that he was trying to sell, what was it, the Starlink system or something, like trying to sell that, and that's how he's recruited.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I didn't give a fuck about the Starlink system. I was here to recruit you, but for your skills. And he's like, okay, but I still need to go back and get this because I can sell it.
Right. He's like, but there's money at stake, and I have a market to take care of.
And he's like trying to go run back after it, in the middle of this like intense battle. And then all the just rigs, all the just random rig traps, like that were there, not just the charges, but everything else that was so good.
This is the big
guerrilla
question.
warfare.
Warfare. Who is Luthen?
Yeah, that's the thing. Also, when they sent out the fucking diversion vehicle and then busted out there in the motorcycle after they exploded the diversion vehicle, like they made them think that they won briefly.
Mm-hmm.
And then just plow out of there in the fucking motorcycle, and or the fucking speeder. It was so fucking cool.
Yeah, they use their arrogance.
And that's some guerrilla warfare shit. Straight up. You sit there and put a brick on a pedal with an explosive and drive a car down the street and set off a bomb to go blow some, blow fucking Empire.
Even the main shit they do, like, is so, to me, the whole time I'm watching this, like, garrison run, whatever, I'm thinking about, like, the long history of anarchist bank robbing.
Bank robbers, right? Yeah.
Like, if you're doing real direct action, you are camping in the woods, you are eating disgusting things, you are working with people you don't like and don't trust, and you are stealing a shitload of credits.
Yeah. God, it's so good. And okay, can we talk about just the small little interesting things I noticed about the world, just like the world at large?
Absolutely.
Like small little details, not political, but pepper trees are a thing.
Pepper trees
that exist in this universe.
Mednog is a thing.
Yes, Mednog calf. Calf instead of coffee.
Calf,
I forget what did they say a name for the cereal that they were eating?
No, but it looks like fucking Trix.
Yeah, and it was in blue milk, obviously. But like, it's interesting because, okay, like pepper trees.
Pepper trees.
There's breeds of pepper on other planets other than Earth in this universe. That is it. That is
Well,
very
this is
interesting.
another like cool little tiny thing is they say humans, right?
Yeah.
Which is a
Now,
diversion
here's
from
the
that's not
thing.
how most Star Wars is.
No, and when I heard that, I actually rewound because I was so caught off guard.
They
But the
say
thing that I
they say
wonder
this is human.
is that because it's been established that basic is not English.
Right.
It's translated to English for the viewer. We hear it in English. So that probably means in turn that the term human they were using is not the term human as we would use
It means this particular alien that looks like this.
Yes, and there's not a proper basic to English translation for this type of anthropomorphic, style of alien that they just go with human. Which it may be that actually, like, from an intergalactic point of view, we're of a similar species to them. And so we are all humans, within the Star Wars universe, literally, like they're humans just as, because Earth exists in Star Wars.
Right.
It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but it's still established that Earth exists. And, we saw a crossover with E.T. Y'all know about the crossovers with E.T., right?
No, I have to use the bathroom, but you should tell people.
Oh, well, I want to say this real quick. E.T.'s alien species is actually in the original trilogy in the Galactic Council. And in E.T., he recognizes one of the kids in a Yoda outfit, thinking that it's Yoda. He briefly thinks that it's one of Yoda's species.
Yeah.
So they take place in the same universe.
Yeah.
But that also means that Star Wars is a movie within the E.T. universe as well as based on a real thing. So weird. George Lucas must be a documentarian or based off, made a movie based off real shit. Go to the bathroom.
All right. Be right back.
So, anyways, yeah.
It was in the episode 1 of Phantom Menace. I got it pulled up.
What about episode 1?
I got it pulled up. We can watch the scene with E.T.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's very interesting though, because that brings in the question of,
here we go.
Is, obviously that kid was wearing a Yoda Halloween costume in E.T. So we know that Star Wars is a movie, but E.T. recognized Yoda, or thought he recognized Yoda, or at least one of those species. So that means that at least that species exists. But likely Star Wars is just real, and that would explain why his species is also in Star Wars.
Yes.
In episode 1. But then that also means that it's a movie made by George Lucas. So I really don't get it. It's that cameo or that it doesn't make sense. But then also, if we go with the holiday special being canon, which I claim it is because J.J. Abrams claims it was to his movies.
Life Day.
And so even though Disney doesn't consider it canon, JJ created, 2/3 of the new shitty trilogy. So he has some say. Star Wars Holiday Special had Jefferson Starship. So that means Jefferson Starship is a real band in the Star Wars universe.
Canonically exists.
They canonically exist in the Star Wars universe a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So that means that Jefferson Starship all the band members have a long ass lifespan and eventually traveled to Earth, broke up, created Jefferson Airplane, broke up again, recreated Jefferson Starship, and then who knows where they're at now. And who knows, maybe it was Jefferson Starship that told George Lucas the story of Star Wars and got him to make it. And that's when, it became a popular franchise, and E.T. came across a kid in one of the Halloween costumes and thought it was one of Yoda's species.
Well, there's also another explanation that Jefferson Starship aren't super old, but that Vermin Supreme actually wins the presidency, invents time travel to go kill baby Hitler. Jefferson Airplane hijacks a ride with Vermin, unknown to Vermin, causing the calculations to go off. He overshoots, goes back to the holiday special. Then,
So wait, why was Vermin Supreme not in the holiday special then?
Just off camera.
Off the camera, off to the side. He was trying to fix a time machine.
So then wait, you said a Jefferson Airplane, but it was Jefferson Starship that was on the
Starship, yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, because Vermin Supreme would hang out with Jefferson Starship given the chance.
See? It's very logical.
And he would have to travel back in time to pick up Jefferson Starship first before he traveled back in time for Hitler. Maybe he missed the first time and landed back in the 70s and picked up Jefferson Starship.
Said, hey, you want to go kill Hitler with me? They said, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely we do.
He built it. Here's the thing. He built the time machine in some hotel room after, while he's staying somewhere else as president for, some conference or something. Built it in this hotel room, tries to travel back in time to kill Hitler, because he's often visiting Germany on a diplomatic thing or something as president. He's in a German hotel room, builds this time machine, travels back in time to kill Hitler, but accidentally gets to the 70s when Jefferson Starship is on tour in that same hotel. They are actually partying in that exact same room. He pops out, he's like, oh shit, wrong time period. Y'all want to come kill Hitler? Hell yeah. They come in, tries to go back in time to kill baby Hitler.
Overshoots massively this
and
time.
he winds up a long time ago on Earth. And then tries to get back and then winds up elsewhere entirely. Long and complicated.
Figured out.
I might be a little tired.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, same. So, yeah, if y'all, want to support what we do, remember, we do have the fundraiser up there as always. Like, subscribe, comment, all the YouTube stuff. And follow us on social media. There's all the info there. Follow us on or support us on Patreon if you want exclusive content. If you want us to do script reading of Duel of Fates or any other fun shit,
let us
go on our Patreon. Those are the people that we listen to as far as, people that make suggestions. Yes, we might listen to suggestions in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments or whatever here and there, but we're really going to pay attention to our patrons first and foremost. So if you want to make any suggestions, see any exclusive content, the Outgroup podcast as well, which Alex and I are periodically part of. It's our Patreon exclusive podcast. So yeah, go support C4SS on Patreon. Most of us also have our own Patreons as well. You can find around. And we stream every month, same bat time, same bat channel. YouTube.com/C4SS feed 44, as well as the C4SS and ANGL Facebook pages, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. The third Friday of every month.
Third Friday. And once I take us all off, you'll see a brief ad for our festival coming up in February down in Louisiana, and y'all should come hang with us. We're going to be camping, we're going to be doing Mardi Gras, and we're going to be doing unconference shit. So
yeah, it'll be a nice mix of crew domain, the crew that some friends and I started in Louisiana. Our Mardi Gras crew will be throwing the ball, and the pre-festival shows, which will have music, comedy, and performance art of various sorts. And then C4SS is throwing an unconference throughout the week between the pre-fest and the ball. And in addition, we will hit up all the parades and party, and yeah, come hang out and do Anarchist Mardi Gras.
And if you want to watch me get shit on in video games in between these streams, you can watch on Twitch, twitch.tv/mediumjames.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, good night, y'all. Thanks for joining us, James. I'll see y'all next month.
Bye.